Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do Countdown episode 90. That's right, fans. This is the show where Mike Spider Slayer talks about his worst comic of the week and goes all the way up to that #1 comic of the week. You guys, a couple things before we get started. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for voting on Road to Comic of the Year 2014. We did get our winner, and it was Forever Evil, issue number 6. And a lot of people couldn't believe that there was a four-way tie to begin with for Comic of the Year. But you guys voted, and that's how it came out to be. And I want to thank everyone's participation in that. Next, I want to say thank you again to all my watchers and fans and people over the years that have been watching me since I started 3 years ago. This particular channel hit 2,000 subscribers yesterday, so I want to say thank you. And for that, I will be doing a Q&A live show. The actual date is still to be determined, so stay tuned for that. I'll probably make an announcement on that on my comic book haul of when I will have that live show. So without further ado, guys, let's start the countdown, episode 90. All right, here we go. So we have 14 books to talk about all together. 3 of them were digital books. 11 of them were physical copies. And let's start with that worst of the worst, the book that I couldn't stand the most this week, and that was Wolverines, issue number 1. Now, maybe there's a couple other books that could have fell lower on the list here, because their stories weren't as maybe good as maybe this one, even though this one for me wasn't that great. But the reason why, the #1 reason why this gets worst of pick of the week was the price point. This is a weekly series, everybody. Weekly, okay? We're not sure when it's going to end. There hasn't been an official announcement when this is going to end. And the price point on this is $3.99. Mike Spider Slayer will not be spending $16 a month on one comic. That for me is just average. Okay? If you guys read that series that introduced these other Wolverines, and I forgot what it was called, the Weapon X Project or whatever it was, I don't even remember now. The other Wolverines in here, that's just what this series is. It kind of continues off of that. And we get to see all these other Wolverines go out onto this mission. Now, the artwork in this particular book is done by Nick Bradshaw. Nick Bradshaw did the artwork for Wolverine and the X-Men. And I think his artwork fits that book. And it fits a book maybe like Guardians of the Galaxy, because he did Guardians of the Galaxy as well. But here, I don't feel it fits. I feel that this should be a more serious book. And his artwork is not, I don't know, it's not as serious. It seems lighter with the colors and whatnot, and I just don't like the artwork here. I just don't feel it fits the book. I feel that I don't like the characters in the book. I don't like these reject Wolverines, and I feel that I find myself sick of Wolverine more than ever before. We have seen all kinds of series since the death of Wolverine. Isn't the point of a character being killed not to hear from him for a while and then bring him back with people excited to have Wolverine back in the world? I don't care now. I don't find anything exciting about this issue whatsoever. By the time you get to the end of this issue, the one thing that you might find is, yes, they find the Wolverine covered in the Aptamanium, or however you say the metal. You wind up seeing Mr. Sinister in here, and he rips off Dawkins' eyeball and his arm. But I think that's just a cheap thrill to get people to read the next issue in here. I didn't find this story very exciting. And there was an artwork change for about 2 pages in here. Why? I don't know. No purpose in it. This book for me was just lackluster. Very forgettable, except for those last 2 pages. Definitely not worth your $3.99 a month, or $3.99 a week. And I'm not going to be picking this up physically anymore. I think for that price point, you need to have a book that blows your mind. It's got to have outstanding artwork, revolutionary artwork, revolutionary writing. Not saying that Charles Soule is not a great writer. I think he really is a great writer. He's written some great titles in 2014. This, for me, is just not there. it's not needed. We don't need a weekly book. We have enough of them. It's not worth the money. So Wolverines, for me, gets a 2.5 out of 5 stars. All right, the next book we're going to talk about is, yeah, you guessed it, another weekly book. And that book is World's End, issue number 14. Going on the trend here, everybody. Who wants to jump on the bandwagon with me? World's End, another book that is just very unforgettable at this point. The story is a former shell of itself of what Tom Taylor has written in the past with this series. I said this last week. I'll probably say it every single week. Probably one of the most memorable things in this particular issue is that Darkseid is chilling on the side over here, and he sees Commander Khan's like spaceship going to ram into Apocalypse, and the next thing he does is he's still standing there and blows the shit out of it. I thought that was the best part of the particular issue, and the rest of it was very forgettable. I think a nice warm-hearted part was when we find out that the female now, I forgot her name, is the main person in the World Army now. And I liked seeing how they dedicated the safe haven for all the humans to move forward in case Apocalypse does take over, and they named it Adam's Haven. I thought that was really cool and very respectful to the character since he sacrificed himself in here. But besides that, the rest of this issue was very forgettable. I did not like it. I don't like this whole avatars trying to protect the Earth. It's just, again, a very forgettable series. And is it worth your guys $2.99 a week? So, you know, I don't think so. But after reading this, I give this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I think this is worse, technically, story-wise, than Wolverines. However, Wolverines is $1 more, and that's why it falls number 14. All right, so going forward now, we're going to go on to number 12. And number 12, everybody, is, oh, hey, you guessed it, Future's End, issue number 36. It continues the weekly series onslaught from Mike Spider-Slayer, just ragging on him here. Future's End, usually I like the story. It's better than the other weeklies for me. Batman Eternal I dropped, and I didn't read a few issues, so I fell behind, so that's why I haven't been reading it. But in this particular issue, the only really ongoing story that they really talked about here was Stormwatch, and with Frankenstein. He's dying here, and Amethyst brought him to the House of Mystery and to try to get him fixed. Maybe magic can restore him, and it's not working, and he's learned to accept the fact that, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm dying. Amethyst and Constantine try to get in this little shuffle-duffle here. She winds up throwing a sword in his gut. That was kind of the interesting thing. But he doesn't really die. He winds up appearing back again. And he winds up talking to someone who we haven't seen in about 55 issues because that's how long this series has seemed to be going on. And he winds up talking with Superman. He winds up waking up. He's talking with Clark in here. And we haven't seen Clark in quite a few issues in here. And then the story winds up, you know, going to Terry McGinnis and Plastique. You get to see their relationship kind of being fired up in here. You know, they started off as really bad enemies in the beginning in here, and now there's kind of some love interest going on here. Terry McGinnis is really hard on himself. He feels like that he's failing the world, that he's not going to be successful in his mission, and, you know, I guess Plastique winds up, you know, making things a little interesting for him. You know, give him something to look forward to maybe in the future if he saves the world. But another thing we wind up seeing that gets brought back here is Stormwatch. Is that his name? Not Stormwatch. Stormguard. I'm sorry. We got Stormwatch, Stormguard. I thought this guy was gone. The whole thing with him and Billy Batson and Shazam and whatnot. But nope, he makes his appearance back with Billy. And they wind up being back, and we wind up seeing a little origin tale of Stormguard, how he was protecting the White House during the war when the parademons came and whatnot. And it's like, okay, so, you know, you were in the series about how many issues ago, and now we're learning your little origin tale here. I just felt that it wasn't really needed, and it just was just to, you know, it was very fillerish, and it was just to, you know, stall the series, I guess. And then Firestorm winds up making her appearance on the space station, whatnot. And they're like, wow, Firestorm's a female? And I think they probably were thinking, she looks kind of hot. Oh, yeah. You guys like that joke? Yeah, I'm kind of cheesy. Anyway, after reading that particular issue, I was like, God, this is another like issue that was like totally forgettable. I didn't like it. Same thing, 2.5 out of 5 stars. Guys, just not worth, when you look at monthly when you buy your comics, this is $12 a month. Is it worth $12 a month? Yeah, I don't think so. So if you want to leave it, you want to forget about it, go ahead. If you really want to read the story to find out how it all ties into Convergence, then, go ahead and read it. All right, so next we're going to go on to number 11. And number 11, goes on to a little bit better comics, but this is a series now that I feel like it's kind of gotten stale for me quickly because it's not really going anywhere, and that is Synergy. Synergy issue number 3. And this issue has to do with the main character, Jess, this time around, taking over her dad's business. She's decided that she wants to do that instead of living a normal life, going to college, playing hockey on her scholarship and whatnot. And you get to see her doing her first kill, witnessing her first kill with these alien creatures or whatnot that are trying to come through the Earth dimension here. And if you're a seer, that's what it is, you can see that these creatures, or that these humans, they look like humans that are actually monsters, but you have to have this specific power or whatnot. And in this particular issue, I feel like the dialogue in here is kind of cheap or whatnot. I don't like the dialogue, just the way how they use curse words all the time in here. I don't know, I didn't like it. And you see her that she's taken over this business because her dad is injured or whatnot, and I don't feel that they address the main character enough in her situation of not wanting to go to college. It's kind of like she makes this decision, like, she tells her mom, and she goes, Mom, I'm not going to college. I want to take over the dad's business. And Mom's like, really? Why? Or really? How can that be? And they just drop it. Like, they don't even address the situation. I need to see more family dynamic from this comic book, instead of her just always fighting these creatures. And that's all I've seen each and every month that I have read this comic so far. It's kind of like, all right, we're going to, beat up the monsters with my hockey stick, and we're not addressing the major family dynamics here. So hopefully they do that. We'll see where it goes. I'll continue to read this digitally to see if it gets better here, and again, we'll see. So this is an average book. I give Synergy issue number 3 a 3 out of 5. I'll let you guys decide if you want to read that particular book or not. All right, so next we're going forward, and we're going on to number 10. And the number 10 was The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, issue number 1. Yeah, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I never thought I would ever pick this book up, but I did see her on an episode of Ultimate Spider-Man on Disney XD, and I thought she was so comical in there. So I'm like, well, let me check out her, new ongoing series, see if I can take this seriously or not, or what does this have to offer for its readers. Now, the book is again a $3.99 book, and I think for this type of series, $3.99 is not worth it, because this is a book that's not to be taken seriously. This is Squirrel Girl, for crying out loud. This is the girl that lives in the Avengers attic. Now, this book was... it's funny, and she lives, like I said, it's a funny book. You're to take it lighthearted. The artwork is kind of, cartoony here. They do a good job at describing, the characters that are involved in the book. But I felt like I was reading like a Saturday morning cartoon. I felt that's what I was really reading here. You get to see her go out into the college life. She wants to be her own individual. She wants to have a secret identity. And you get to see her talk and interact with her little squirrel called Tippy Toe. She wears a little bow, pink bow on her little around her neck, and she gives her little advice. And throughout the issue, you wind up seeing her meet her her actual roommate in the issue. And we wind up seeing Kraven the Hunter, out of all people, get thrown into the mix here. And you're like, Kraven the Hunter? Dude, that's a Spider-Man character. That guy's serious. And when you read the issue, he's kind of made out of a mockery. You're like, dude, serious? Like, Kraven the Hunter is made like a fool here. Squirrel Girl can take on Kraven the Hunter, but she kind of like dumbs him down. She kind of like talks him out of it, you know, being like, why you gotta be so obsessive compulsive about Spider-Man? Go find somebody else. Go take on somebody else. Expand your horizons. And she winds up doing that in this particular issue. So it's kind of Squirrel Girl taking on you know all these different characters that you would never expect, and she winds up prevailing in the end. And I think that's what the series is going to be about, because the next issue she winds up going against what I think is Galactus. And so how is Squirrel Girl going to square up with Galactus in this series? I don't know, but it will be interesting to see. I feel that this is a very type of one-shot type of book. I think this is for a younger audience, and it's going to be interesting to see, again, how she takes on these super-powered villains when she is just a squirrel girl and has the power of squirrels. So after reading this book, I gave this one a 3.25 stars. Interesting read. I might give it a chance digitally. Yeah, interesting stuff here, guys. So Squirrel Girl issue number 1. All right. Next on the list is we're going to go on to number 9. And number 9 was Wolf Moon, issue number 2. The first issue I was outstanded by because of the great artwork here and the very original plot line that Cullen Bunn had to offer its readers. And this book does the same thing. But this time around, I wasn't in like, oh my God, this is like the best series ever. This time I found myself a little bit bored with it. I do like the artwork in this issue. Again, it gets to see how violent the wolf is, and I think this is what I love about the actual series. I think I love the grittiness. I love the horrific feel of the actual wolf and how he tears apart its victims in the series. And I think that's what I'm interested in. I wasn't like so interested in this complex plot of how the traditional werewolf curse is different, because every month it goes from a different human to a different human. Now, I thought that was very original, but in this issue they really dive deep into it. It's like this Indian tribe that they think that has this some kind of spell that goes on from people to people, and it's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. And I was kind of like, okay, well, I didn't need all that. I just wanted to see some werewolf badass killing action. That's what I really wanted to see. We get to see the main character, I think his name is Dylan, interact with this waitress. He turns down this waitress of hooking up with her because he's so infatuated with this whole werewolf thing. And again, you wind up seeing the story develop here about how, this werewolf travels from host to host. I can't turn down this artwork, though. The artwork is just awesome. The werewolf is so violent. He tears people in half. He eats their brains out. He eats fingers. You see him piling out his mouth. I just think it's great. I think that's the best thing about this series is just the violence. I'm reading it. I'm like, I don't care about the main plot anymore. I just want to see this wolf eat some people up. So I thought it was good. And next you're getting introduced to some other hunters of this wolf that affected their families. So it is a good read. I just wasn't in awe about the whole major spellbinding stuff that's going on with these Indians. So after that, I'm going to give this a 3.25 stars. Great artwork, great action when there is the action. Plus, I felt there was a lot of other better books out there this week. So going forward now, we're going to go on to number 8. And number 8 is Grim Tales of Terror, issue number, what are we on this now? 6? Yeah, 6. Yeah, this story's about this chick. Her name is Mindy. And you see her get introduced in the beginning of the issue. She winds up going on this date, and we wind up seeing that her waitress is the infamous Death, and she's saying that your date has some other intentions besides getting to know you, which you obviously can see that in the beginning of the issue here. You wind up seeing that this guy has all the intentions to hook up with this girl. This issue is written by Shane McKenzie, and the artwork is done by Claudia Balboni. I thought the artwork was done nicely here. Again, it has that creepy effect. Again, Grimm Fairy Tales is that issue, that series that is very spooky, creepy, Tales from the Crypt type of series. And we get to see that this uh, she's an orphan, this girl. You get to see her from 20 years ago, and her name is Mindy. And we get to see that she lived in this orphanage, and she has her brothers and sisters in here. We had this one sister by the name of Rose who always protected her. And we get to see the father here winds up, raising these kids, and they pick on this girl, Mindy. And we wind up finding out that in the issue is, is that the father in this particular issue winds up molesting the people that that he's taking care of, and Mindy winds up having this creature that lives under her bed that actually protects her, and it winds up eating the guy that was molesting her like sister that lived with her in the room. And then by the time you get to the end of this issue, we wind up seeing that the guy that she was in the restaurant with, she winds up still having this monster under the bed. It winds up eating the guy that was going to rape her. So interesting stuff here. It was a fun story. I like Grim Tales of Terror. Was it the best one that I have read yet? No, there has been other ones, but I can tell you, if you guys are familiar with the whole Bloody Mary myth, that's the next issue here. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, I think that one will be a good one. Because I don't know if you guys remember, when you look into the mirror and you speak and you go, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. You're supposed to see this image in the mirror or whatnot, and you're supposed to do it in the dark. And again, that's what this next issue has to deal about. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But with this issue, this one gets a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a solid issue, but not the best one that I've read yet. All right, so going on now. We go on to we go on to number 7, and this is, I got it mixed up. Hulk, issue number 10. Now, this is Hulk versus Red Hulk. Now, this book kind of disappointed me this time. I was very excited for this battle to happen here, and I thought this was going to be like the epic conclusion to this particular story arc. The Hulk versus the Red Hulk. This battle rages on, and we're going to see who wins, who prevails, and it kind of didn't happen that way. I was actually kind of disappointed with it. In this issue, you wind up seeing Doc Green trying to get some files from Bruce Banner, from Matt Murdock, to get files about Bruce Banner. And Matt Murdock is very hesitant about it. He wants Bruce himself to get those particular files. But we wind up seeing that it really is all just a setup to get Thunderbolt Ross into the area, because he knows that Hulk is over there. He winds up hulking out, and then all of a sudden it just becomes this big brawl. And they fight, and that's what happens in the particular issue. And you wind up seeing that Hulk can't cure him. He gets the needle. He can't cure him to make him back to the way he's normal. So then his ploy is to get him back to his secret headquarters to get all these gamma-like readings about the Red Hulk. And he winds up doing that, but he gets his ass beat. I mean, he does. He gets his arm broken in the issue, and he's wind up to force to teleport him into this volcano. And yeah, so story to be continued. That's what happens really in the issue. And you wind up seeing that now Jen Walters is going to get involved in the whole thing, She-Hulk. And she winds up getting a call from Matt Murdock saying things are going on with Hulk and whatnot. So I thought this one was good. I just felt like it was more fillerish when it should have been like a climactic part to the story arc. And so we'll see where this goes. I'm still on board with Hulk. I'm going to be on board because I like the team here. I like Mark Bagley and I mark Jerry Dargan. I love these guys. I think they're doing great things with this series. I just thought this was kind of a fillerish issue, but it was exciting to see the great battle there, and it was exciting to see again how Bagley handles all this artwork. So after reading this one, I gave the Hulk a 3.5 out of 5 stars. All right, so going forward now, we talk about the number 6 book, and this is right outside that top 5. And now we're talking about Grimm Fairy Tales, issue number 106, written by Patrick Sham, artwork done by Andreas Barrow. Great book here. Again, wonderful character development to learn about this team. This is like, in a way, X-Men, but Zenoscope's X-Men. And if I can say that so basically so you guys understand what Grimm Fairy Tales is, so I can get you guys to read this. And in this issue now, you get to learn about the history of Arcane, which is this facility that all our Realm Knight characters are staying at. So the series has done a wonderful job at doing this character development for all the main characters in here, and now it's talking about the school itself. Now there's also a bunch of conflict that's going on here with Wolf and Haley about Belinda, which is one of the teachers of the school, saying that she was going to kill Sayla in the particular issue, and so she could get her, I think it was her son back. And so we get to see a whole climactic part happen there, but we find out that it was a different spell that happened. I'm trying to remember from issues back, and it was just a spell just to test Belinda's allegiance to the actual school, and the others just didn't see it actually happen. So it's a great book, guys. It's a great story. I really enjoy it. We're coming to a point now where we get to learn more about these characters, who they are, what they represent, what their future is going to be, and part of their future is that these are young kids that are supposedly going to be villains in the future, and it's Sayla's job to actually get them to become heroes, to turn them around before they become bad. So it's got a really interesting twist, and Patrick Shand again does a great job on it. So if you guys again are looking to jump on Grimm Fairy Tales, check it out at 101. So after reading this one, I give this one a 3 3/4 stars. I'm breaking down for the countdowns. I'm breaking them down with quarters now, so it gives them a little bit of their more independence there. All right, so now we go on to the top 5, and number 5 goes to Spider-Man 2099, issue number 7, the Spider-Verse tie-in. This book was good. I liked it because they're trying to have the Inheritor clone. They have him captured, and he can't get out. And they're trying to do studies on him, trying to do dissections on him. And the good thing about this issue is the character interactions between May, or what's the other way that they call her in here? I'm trying to look at it. Is it steampunk, or punk Spider-Man, or Spider-Woman, or Lady Spider, whatever they call her? There's the great character interactions between these two characters in here, and trying to have him not escape. And what happens is he winds up making a deal with them. I think his name is Damios, and Damios makes a deal. He's like, let me go, and I'll let you guys live, and you guys can live your life. And they don't. They don't decide to take the deal because they don't want all the other Spider characters to die. And when we saw from the Edge of Spider-Verse, was we wind up seeing Lady Spider and Spidey 2099 do some investigation on that bag that they had, and they find out that it was a interdimensional time jumper to go to different times. And we wind up seeing that after they don't take Damios's deal here, he winds up overloading the grid, and he winds up escaping the thing, but then he winds up dying. And right away, he winds up sending another clone from himself, and the clone goes after him. And so Miguel winds up taking this call. He winds up calling his friend, and the person that he winds up calling to stall time so these guys can get out of here was Punisher 2099. I was like, dude, that is freaking epic. I'm like, that is so awesome to see him in this issue. And he winds up shooting him with his big ass gun, and he winds up going flying to the ground. He winds up getting mad. He's like, you can't stop me. And he winds up shooting him with another gun, and he winds up hitting him in the face with this titanium like bat. And it was just awesome. He scorches him with a plasma gun, and he falls to the ground just so these guys can get time so they can escape and go back to the safe zone. And I feel like there's kind of this relationship building here between Miguel and Lady Spider. The way he's holding her there, where they're making that time jump, it feels like they have this connection with each other. So when they wind up going and they wind up going back to the safe zone, they wind up seeing that all of these Spider-Men are dead, and they found out that, well, other people have gotten here first. And obviously you can see that Cosmic Spider is the major player that has died here. So great issue. Who's looking forward to Darth Vader? This guy is. I am. But anyway, this was a great issue. It was so much fun to see Punisher 2099 in there. I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is so like classic 90s stuff. So really enjoyed it. I gave this one a 4 stars, 4 out of 5 stars. All right, next we go on to number 4 this week, and number 4 was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 12. This is Spider-Verse Part 4. Now, this is a good issue in here. However, I just feel that, and this has always been my problem with Spider-Verse, is that there's too much going on. I didn't like the setting in here, and it's taking a long time to develop a story. We get to see May Parker's brother get kidnapped, which is Benji. And we knew that happened last issue. And the big thing was here is to see what her interaction was going to be like how she was going to handle the situation. But they didn't have time to really address that. She kind of seemed a little whiny at times. It's like, we got to get my brother. You guys don't seem like real Spider-Man. You guys seem fake, you know? So it was kind of like, all right. But the next thing you wind up seeing, which I thought what makes Spider-Verse so good at the same time, is when you see the different appearances of the Spider-Man, and you get to see this Megazord spider come through. And he winds up coming through, and Peter thinks, this guy's our ultimate weapon. He's going to stop the Inheritors. I'm like, this is going to be freaking epic. And he winds up seeing that he gets trashed. The freaking mech winds up getting destroyed. His arm gets ripped off because we wind up getting, what's his name? The father of the Inheritors. He winds up absorbing the cosmic Spider-Man's power. So he's like all powerful. So that's why he's destroying the mech Spider-Man. And we wind up finding out that Silk goes to the radioactive Earth, and the Inheritors can't take that radioactivity. And she winds up finding the bunker in that Earth to be safe from the radioactive poisoning. We also see that Jessica winds up discovering these scrolls that looks like it could be the downfall of the Inheritors. So you wind up finally seeing some decent story progression. Great character moment here with the Spidey Mobile, Ultimate Spidey, Spidey 67 in here. Probably one of the best scenes in here. Again, that's what makes Spider-Verse so great. And I think that's what also made the Edge of Spider-Verse issues so wonderful, was because it focused on around those other Spider-Man, where I find at times this Spider-Verse event is good, it's really good, but it's bogged down by so much going on. And by the time we do get to the end of this issue here, we wind up seeing that the other Spider-Man try to find a new safe zone, which is that Earth that's radioactive, and we wind up finding out the spider that was staying in this bunker in this Earth was Uncle Ben. And you're just like, Uncle Ben, really? I'm like, how is he like a spider? He is a real person. So interesting stuff here. Looking forward to seeing where this goes. But it's not perfect. This is not a perfect event. There's just so much going on inside of it, especially with the tie-ins. And I feel like to really get the full effect of this story, you need to read these tie-ins. They may tell you not to, and I think they tell you not to read those tie-ins. It's not necessary. So when they address those tie-in events in this, it makes so much going on in this particular issue. I think they should have said you need to read the tie-ins, so then they wouldn't be forced to put that in here. Because if you're going to tell a story and tell it at a good pace, I think just say, hey, there's tie-ins. You know, it's just the way it's going to go this event, because that's the way Spider-Verse has been. So after reading this one, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. All right, so now we're going on to the top 3. And the number 3 issue of this week is Green Arrow issue number 38. That's right, fans. Green Arrow number 38 focuses the team up with Hal Jordan. And I think this was a great issue. They fight against this like guy in this suit that's protecting this John King guy, and we get to see Hal Jordan protect Oliver Queen because he was in the tuxedo, makes a construct of his actual suit, which I thought was really awesome. And this is good because I haven't seen a really good Green Arrow book. I'm sorry, Green Lantern book in a long time. And Hal Jordan was in this issue, I thought, protecting his Earth, working with Oliver Queen here. And it was great to see him on Earth, not in a galactic setting. And that's what I think at times really makes Green Lantern. And we get to see some good humor in this issue, even with this villain here in this mech suit. He's in here and he's like, guys, you gonna not rescue me? I need some help here. You know, it was kind of funny, and they just walk away. And the character interactions and the dialogue in here between Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen were awesome. And we get to see more interactions with Mia and her father, and how she will never work with her father, how he's not even, you know, considered her father or whatnot. But when we get to see, again, more interactions here with Hal and Oliver Queen, we get to see how it was just like they had these night vision suit, and what's that? He's like, Oliver Queen's like, I'm activating night vision, and Hal Jordan's like, whatever, and he's just like, and then he says, Lantern, can you glow it down a little? And he's like, fine. He's like, kind of defeats the purpose of this whole thing. And he goes, I said fine. And they're like, jerk. And he's like, whatever, asshole. It's just so funny. They like bicker against each other. And at the end, though, you get to see them work well together. And you get to see, even though you're a jerk, it was great working with you again. And it was great stuff here. I really liked the issue. And, you know, it's interesting to see what the villain has to offer and what the other characters offer here. But what really made this issue shine was these two characters. They need to team up more often. I thought it was very fun, very interesting book. And Green Arrow has been a solid series here. So after reading this one, I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, number 2 this week. And this brought my grading down a little bit because people have made some interesting comments about it, and I understand it. And I originally gave it a 5.0, and now I'm giving it 4.75 because people are confused, and I understands people point of view on this particular issue. But if you've never read Ant-Man before and you're looking to learn about Ant-Man and just the Scott Lang form, this is the issue that you need to read. Nick Spencer does a great job at talking and describing who Ant-Man is, what Scott Lang is, and what he represents. His daughter, he has a daughter that was sick, and it was really awesome to learn about him because I don't know that much about him. And the story setting was really awesome too because you get to see him go on this job interview, and he thinks he's a shoe-in for the security position. And there was great character interactions here with him and Tony Stark. You get to learn that he was an Avenger in the past. He worked with these Avengers. And we get to see Tony Stark puts him to this test for this job interview. There was other candidates involved. Nick Spencer throws in one of his former people that were from Superior Suppose, and he winds up throwing in here Beetle from that series, which is really interesting. And it was just a fun book to read to get to know Scott Lang. The interesting thing is in here is he winds up getting this job with Tony Stark, and we wind up seeing that he winds up turning down the job in the end because he feels that his daughter is more important. Scott and his wife are divorced. Casey, or Cassie, how you say her name, is moving to Miami, and he feels that that's more important than some high-profile job at Stark Industries. And then what happens is he winds up going to Miami. He winds up buying this box. He winds up shrinking down Cassie, and they wind up, interacting with each other and having a good conversation with each other here. And then the next issue says, "Welcome to Miami." So now it's a lengthy issue in a very, very nutshell, because this is a book that is $4.99. However, it is worth that $4.99 price point because there's a lot of story here, a lot to read. For some people, it may be boggy, may bog them down a little bit, may drag on, so you got to have that right set of mind to read this particular issue. But people, I felt, that know the character Scott Lang are kind of upset about Cassie, how they feel that they de-aged her, and how is she not stature here? Because I guess they brought her back in Avengers World, and I didn't read that particular issue. So I think some people are a little bit upset and confused about that. So are they going to bring that back, or are they going towards more of a, like, the movie setting Ant-Man here? I think maybe that's where they're going with it. I'm not sure. Or this is a story arc that takes place maybe further back in time, and then they'll introduce maybe a more current Scott Lang. I don't know, but I have a feeling that this issue was to introduce Scott Lang and to get ready for the movie. I think that's honestly what it was. I don't know how they're going to incorporate Cassie and Statue in the future, or Stature, is that how you say her name, in the future? I'm not sure, but I took the issue for what it was, and it introduced Scott Lang and who he was and who his character was, how his personality was, and how yes, he did have a daughter. So that's what I took it for, and I gave this one a 4 3/4 stars. All right, so number one book of the week, and this book I have not read in like a year, and we talked about it on Comic Frontline Live, and we're like, oh, should I get it? Shouldn't I get it? And I'm like, I don't know. And it had to do with Green Lantern. The whole God's Head thing is over, and this was like a standalone issue. And it had Carol on there. And you haven't seen Hal Jordan and Carol interact with each other in a very long time, because she has been with Kyle Rayner. And they have been an item in this particular in that particular series. So now that this whole God thing is over, and here it is, Green Lantern issue number 38. This got number 1 this week. And now that that whole thing is over, the Guardians gave Hal Jordan a reprieve. He needs to go home. He's burnt out. He needs to go home. So that's what happens. He winds up leaving, going home. And it was great to see that, because he's been in space forever. And Hal Jordan is a character that needs to be home. He's like almost like Sam Alexander at Nova. He needs to be home. He needs to interact with humans. And the first thing you wind up seeing is he winds up interacting with Guy Gardner here. And he's like, I'm going home. That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything here. Guy Gardner lets him go home. So he winds up going to this bar, Hal Jordan. And he winds up going to the bar, and he winds up seeing, yep, his old buddy here, Guy Gardner. And I was like, oh, here we go. Guy and Hal drinking at a bar. And this is typical Green Lantern Corps type of stuff. Typical old school. This is the way, I loved Green Lantern, seeing these guys interact with each other. Guy talking trash like he does, saying he's going to play pool. And, Hal was kind of like, oh, I just want to get away from this all. But he couldn't get his words in. Next thing you wind up seeing is they start drinking, they start drinking a little bit. They start having some beer, and, they have some mugs. And the next person that shows up, oh yeah, who's it? Barry Allen shows up. And it's cool because Vendetti does write Barry Allen as well. But it was good to see all these characters interact with each other in here. It's very fun and very comical. And you get to see Barry Allen. He's like, I'll take you guys on a pool anytime. He's like, I'll trash all you guys. And he's showing off and whatever. And then what happens is Hal starts having fun. He's like, well, I'm not here And he's like, well, whatever. So he starts having fun. He starts letting loose a little bit. Mugs become pitchers. Instead of drinking mugs, they start drinking pitchers now. And they start getting really trash. Next thing you wind up starting to see is they wind up spilling some beer on a pilot on accident. And they start getting pissed off at each other. There winds up starting this fight. Guy Gardner starts getting in with it. The pilot starts whacking him in the back of the head with a pool stick. And there's this whole big ass brawl that happens. All kinds of stuff. And you're just like, oh my God. And it's just this old-fashioned, typical beer fight that goes on in a particular issue. They get thrown out of the bar. Hal Jordan gets mad because he's like, did you ever think I didn't want to see you or Barry, the Justice League, or anybody else? He's like, I just want to get away from my superhero life. I just wanted to live the life that I wanted to live before I became a Green Lantern. And that's what happens. So the next thing we wind up seeing is Carol winds up showing up in the picture. And she winds up finding out that Hal is here. And Hal's eyes just light up. And honestly, Carol is drawn beautifully in the issue. She's gorgeous in the issue. And you can see how it's just like, oh my God, it's Carol. And they wind up having a heart-to-heart talk with each other, making sure, you know, Carol's saying that, you know, Kyle's the man in my life, and, you know, you and I just don't work out, and maybe at times, you know, we can, you know, there is hope for us maybe in the future. And, you know, and she in the end winds up turning him down and says, you know, there is somebody out there for you, Hal. But there was great character interaction there. She winds up giving him a kiss at the end of the issue, and she says, "Keep searching." And I think these two might get back together by the time it's all said and over with. They got a great history with each other. But this was a great issue, guys. This was a fun issue of the Green Lantern. If you guys have not read Green Lantern in a long, long time, you don't even have to read a smidge of what happened in the past year. Just read this particular issue and you'll get a Green Lantern story that you have been waiting for a very, very long time. 5 out of 5 stars, guys. There is my #1 pick of the week. You've seen the books this week. You've seen the worst. You've seen the best. You've seen all the stuff in between. And guys, this has been Countdown episode 90. And as always, fans, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Thanks for watching, fans. See you soon.